Hey guys, Pro1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing Inferno, which is my favorite Pertwee story of all time, and one of my favorite Doctor Who stories of all time, and one of the two stories I have earliest memory of. Now, this review was a patron request. One of my patrons he's a top tier patron, the 5th Doctor. He gets 3 video requests a month, and immediately, he was like, I know exactly which ones I want for January, and gave me all 3 of them. So the first one we're going to be doing is Inferno. I was pleased to see that because I love Inferno, so I'm like, yes! Inferno is an interesting one because even though it's 7 parts long, it never drags. It's one of the best paced Doctor Who stories I've ever watched, especially 6 episodes or more. It never feels like it's bloated or overdone. It's a 7-parter that feels like it should be a 7-parter, unlike some of them which feel a little drawn out. And it juggles everything it has going on, I think, better than any other extended Doctor Who story does. This is a lot of different plot points and stuff going on here, and just like an excellent performer, it's juggling all these different things perfectly. Because not only does the Doctor have to contend with the end of one world, but he has to contend with the end of another world and trying to prevent it in both. And then he's, stuck in a parallel Earth. This is the story that introduced basically the multiverse to Doctor Who. And the idea of parallel Earths. That's why anytime when, Flux came out and people are like, oh my god, Doctor Who introduces multiverses. I'm like, Doctor Who introduced multiverses in 1970. People, come on, work with me here. And he's also having to figure out how to get out of that universe, which is much more militaristic, much more what if Germany won World War II type stuff, and was run by World War II people, basically. Let's just say that to keep it simple. And he's trying to get away from there to get to our universe. And then in our universe, he also has these creatures running around, these primoids, which is basically people who get this goo on them. They morph into these kind of werewolf-looking creatures, and then if you get touched by them, you turn into one of them. And the interesting thing about the 2 parallel Earths is similar events are happening in both, with the drilling being bad and needing to be stopped. And both planets are threatened by that. And while one Earth is moving slightly ahead of the other Earth. It's really neat, too, because all of our regular cast, like Benton and Liz and the Brigadier, are all getting to play other versions of themselves in this alternate universe, which is really fun. Nicholas Courtney gets to be the brigade leader, and Liz is much more militaristic. And Benton I really like, because Benton is darker, but I think he's the closest to his normal self. He's just a few shades darker, and it makes all the difference in the world. Of all the performances of Nicholas Courtney and John Levine and Carolyn John, my favorite one's Benton's, because this version of Benton in the evil universe is honestly not that far off from our Benton. It's like, what if our Benton had a slightly harder life? You could have seen him coming more like this Benton. So it's really neat how they're so similar but so different, and how this other Benton is just a couple shades darker. Whereas Carolyn Johns is more, well, I wanted to be a scientist, but I couldn't because, I needed to do my duty and be in the military. And the Doctor even says that, but, did you ever think about being a scientist? And she's kind of like, well. And then Nicholas Courtney is good as a brigade leader. He's a little hammy in places, I will admit. But you could tell he's having a lot of fun with it. And I know he mentioned in interviews later how much fun he had playing the brigade leader. And you can tell he's having a good time, even if it is a little over the top. I love him with the eye patch. And I love that story in that scene when they were making it, when he turns around with the eye patch. That when he turned around, everyone else in the cast had on an eye patch too, just to mess with him. That's adorable. I love that. So he has all of the different things going on. I love... John Pertwee's great in this. John is always great. He's such a good Doctor. When he's interrogating him, and he's just like, it slipped me sideways. I didn't go forward in time or back in time. I slipped sideways. I like the idea of a parallel Earth being like that. Instead of going forward or back in time, it slipped him sideways in time to an alternate universe. I like that explanation. And you can tell he's wore out from the interrogation, but he's still maintaining his innocence. And that is, I have told you the truth. The Primoids, I think, are realized extremely well, especially for Classic Who. My only problem with them is the teeth look very fake. They look like teeth you can buy in a little knick-knack shop or something. That kind of bugs me. But other than that, the green on them and the hair, it really does make it look like you don't even want them to touch you. Something about that green where you don't want them to touch you, because all it takes is a slight touch for them to infect you. I really like the guy playing Stallman in it. I think he does a good job playing both versions of Stallman. I think that's his name. Stallman? I think it's Stallman. I really like him. He does a really, really good job. I think he showed up in a later episode too. I can't remember which one, but I'm pretty sure I've seen him in something else. I don't remember. Actually, I think it might have been an episode of MacGyver. But I digress. He's really good. I really like... He's a bit of a two-dimensional character, but the actor does a good job with what he has. I mean, this is a guy who's very dedicated to his work. You can tell he spent like many, many years on this project, and it's just that important to him that he doesn't want to delay anything. And watching him, since he does get infected by the ooze, watching him how it slowly affects his mind, like when you see him and you hear that ringing and he gets it under control. When he sees his hand, how he just puts the glove on, how he mentions, it's a little hot, it's a little stuffy in here. Can you turn up the heat a little? I enjoy all the little things there about him destroying the machine so they can't talk about how dangerous what they're doing is. I really enjoy that. I think him and John Pertwee go really well off each other in their scenes. They're both these alpha male types clashing. I really like that as well. And again, it's Douglas Camfield for, a good portion of it. I believe Inferno is when Douglas Camfield had that heart attack. And so Douglas Camfield, I think, did all of the location work. And then I think he did episodes 1 and 2. And I think he had his heart attack. While he was recovering from that, Barry Letts directed the rest, episodes 3 through 7 of the studio stuff, if I remember right. And it's a great story. It shows Dougie Camfield does good stuff. Barry Letts does good stuff. And then I believe Douglas Camfield is playing the female assistant in this one, which had to be hard with her husband having just had a heart attack. But she does a good job as well. It's so much fun to watch. I love the location work, like when they're out at like the plant and the towers, and John Pertwee's having to run around on top of all of these areas. I really wish that location work still survived, the film elements to that still survived, because I'll bet that would look glorious in HD. I'm really looking forward to seeing it, how cleaned up it's going to be, because I have the original release. I don't have the special edition, and the special edition, I know it has been much improved visually, so it looks a lot better than the original release. I would have bought it if I had known that at the time when it came out. I just thought it only had some extras, so I didn't bother to get it. So I am looking forward to the Season 7 box set so I can just see exactly how much cleanup work's gone into Inferno to make it look better. Because again, I love Inferno. It's so much fun. There aren't that many Doctor Who stories. I think it's 6, 7, 8 parts that I think maintain the pacing as well as this one does. It's so good. It's so good. It's I tell people, if there's one John Pertwee story to watch, it's probably Inferno. I mean, that's hard to say. I mean, some people would probably say Spearhead, understandably. But the one I always point to is Inferno. I love Inferno. If you want a really good judge of character of the third Doctor era, watch Inferno. And I really love the fact that the guy who's playing Sir Keith in it, I believe he's the same guy who plays Jago in The Talons of Wing Chiang. He also plays in the modern series in Unicorn and the Wasp. And he is in another story that is slipping my mind in Classic Who too at the moment. But I know there's another one he's in that's not in my head. I really like him. He's great as Sir Keith here. So anytime he pops up in Doctor Who, I'm like, familiar face. So yeah, I love Inferno. My favorite John Pertwee story. What do you think of Inferno? And how much better does the special edition look over the original release? I'm curious. So comment down below and let me know. I always enjoy hearing from you guys. Other things to do, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. Click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I'm enjoying watching the channel grow. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you enjoy watching the channel and haven't subscribed yet, I would appreciate you go ahead and clicking that subscribe button. I also have a Patreon. This video was actually a request from a patron, the Fifth Doctor, my first top tier patron. Special shout out to him. So if you have anything you would like me to talk about, Doctor Who or sci-fi related, check out my Patreon. There are several different tiers there. It's been really fun watching the Patreon grow recently as well. A special thank you to all of my patrons. I appreciate each and every one of you. It really helps, you know, when I'm importing all this stuff here because I live in the States. And most importantly, thank you for watching.